Right. So Monday, May 11th, we are starting the third week of this 4-week acceleration program. We are on the road to the demo day. Demo day will be on 20th of May at 4 p.m. CET Frankfurt time. I hope you can all join us. The teams have been going through quite heavy sessions. Week one started with mentoring sessions back to back, getting feedback, critical feedback. We went on to week two to debrief on all the feedback that the teams are going. And basically now, week three and all the way to the demo day, we're sprinting to get the teams right on track for their investments, their clients, their go live. Today we're with Amon, one of our fintech teams, and they're doing the deep work studio session with Andre and Charlie. Andre, welcome, good afternoon, and what can Amon expect from this session?
Yeah, thanks so much. Hey, I'm Andre from Deep Work. In this session, we'll do a little bit of a hands-on interactive workshop on kind of team alignment. I'll show you some cool processes of how to work remotely and how to align your team remotely. Also just like be more productive remotely. And we'll look at some challenges that you're currently facing in your product cycle, especially. Like my personal background is in product design and kind of product innovation and business strategy. And I've worked on like hundreds of different products in design sprints, in kind of remote versions, like I call them hyper sprints because that sounds cool. And I've seen a lot of teams going through the product development and innovation cycle, and a lot of things that have worked out and a lot of things that haven't worked out. And so what I kind of want to offer here is kind of listening to where you are at right now, and then maybe show you some examples of past projects that I've worked on and how that kind of maybe parallels, or maybe you can find something to learn from in your particular stage. And yeah, just generally offer some help with everything I can. So that's more or less the content. It will be super structured, so I actually kind of will have to keep track of time. If you, I just posted a link into Zoom to the Miro board. Would be great while we're doing the intros if you just already kind of open that up and check the board, just kind of what it is and how it works. If you have never worked with Miro, just figure out how to place a post-it and write on it. Yeah, and then we'll get started right after the intros.
And you have your colleague Charlie with us.
Oh yeah, and exactly. There's also Charlie.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm here in a bird sanctuary, so sorry for the background noise. I'll keep my mic off most of the time. I work alongside Andre. We started Deep Work because we saw a real gap in the blockchain space in product design. But what really happened is we took Andre's process with design sprints and iterated on it to work remotely. At first, we didn't really pitch remote because 6-7 weeks ago, it was seen as a negative, and now it's seen as an essential. And what we've found is all these ways of working, which we've improved and iterated over several years now, to actually have remote skills. So yeah, looking forward to this workshop and yeah, hearing more about what you guys are up to.
Excellent. Daniel, Michael. Daniel's in Spain, Michael is in Australia. That's the great thing about working remotely. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourselves, your backgrounds, and who you are.
Yeah, okay, I can start off. So my name, can you guys hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, great. So my name is Daniel. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Amon. So we are a cryptocurrency wallet. What we are doing is basically putting together in one place Evo and crypto. We have different functionalities. I think the guys that already followed us, they know pretty much quite a lot about our wallet. So my background, I worked for 7 years in an insurance company. I founded previously another startup, which is quite successful. And yeah, I also work in consulting. So I have a mix of background in financial services and digital marketing. And yeah, with us here, there is Michael as well. So I'll just leave the word to him to say a couple of words about him.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure. So my name is Michael, obviously. I am right now the brand strategist of Amon, and my work is basically creating, like, my job is creating a very sharp brand message, and to develop this message through all the channels which marketing has to offer, use like all the marketing tools. My background is I studied architecture, and as an architect, you need to be like a generalist. You need to find ideas from different areas and create a big vision. And I kind of found myself in this generalistic lifestyle of where you kind of like look everywhere around and create a bigger idea and work systematically. I also worked for Apple for 2 years in sales, and which inspired me greatly. So other than that, yeah, I'm looking forward to see what you guys have to discuss with us today, to present us, and yeah, very excited.
Cool. Yeah, same here. That's it for the intros, all right?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, cool. Yeah, nice to meet you guys. Could you also please go on the Miro link? Maybe I can post that again so it's there. We'll start working from there, and the idea is that just we at Deep Work, we tend to structure pretty much everything we can. So rather than having an open conversation about, like, you know, where your problems are and letting that float into space, we do it in a structured way. So while you're on the Miro board, and it would be great if you could kind of click on it and find there's a couple of workspaces. I can actually share my screen and you can see what's going on.
But if you, Andrew, you can give us access. I mean, at least I think I don't have access.
There's no access to it. Okay, that's
Right.
Oh yeah, that was my bad. Sorry. Try again, please. Perfect. Okay, now it works. Great. Sorry, that was my bad. There's a weird sharing feature. So yeah, you'll find yourself here, and there's a couple of workspaces in the middle. Just choose one of those. This is more like a private space for you to write things on. And there's a collaboration section here. I'll go into that a bit later, what we'll do here. But for the first part of the kind of workshop, or what do you call it? Knowledge exchange, would be great if we could focus on like what your challenges are and what you're currently kind of working on, what the state of your product is. And the way we do it is I'll set a timer on about 10 minutes. And for everyone who's not talking, so I guess like one of you will be explaining what's going on, and everybody else who is on this board and who's listening in, we want to do like some active listening. So basically you just try to listen what people are saying or someone is kind of explaining as a challenge, and then try to rephrase that and write it down right away. So here's a post-it as an example from a different workshop where someone was talking about the fact that the remote workers aren't always included in all activities, and it's more challenging than face-to-face. And the way that we kind of write these things down is a Procter & Gamble exercise. It's called How Might We. You just rephrase everything that sounds to you that you think that should be worth working on into a how might we question. Later on, that becomes something that sounds as something very, very solvable. So the HMW stands for how might we, and you just kind of rephrase that into a question. How might we make sure that remote workers are included in all face-to-face activities? This is just a way to reframe it right away while writing down, while listening actively to someone speaking, so that at the end of the 10 minutes, we'll have a lot of these little kind of post-its that pose questions, and we can much better structure how to kind of how to talk, how to work with those. And I think I'm just checking if everything is locked here. Okay. So choose one space, and then that will allow us later to just work on the content, on the information that you provide with us a lot more structured. Does that make sense, or is there anything that I've missed out on?
Yeah, so Andrew, just want to clarify, so we can use just one workspace, basically. Maybe we can name it with our demo name.
Sure.
If I understood it correctly, right? The others, I guess, are workspace that we'll be using from the other companies.
It's not from other companies. So each workspace is for an individual person. So just if you're one person, then just pick any one workspace, and that's just for you. It doesn't matter. You could also at the same time, you could also write your notes somewhere in the white space. I just made it so it looks a little bit neater. By the way, if you don't see the cursors, you can click here on the top right of the window and click on this cursor, and then you know where everybody else is. And that'll, yeah, exactly. I mean, now you have all of those. Okay, brilliant.
Just one question. What should be the focus? I mean, we have quite a lot of things on the plate, you know. Is it like more something related to user acquisition, or I don't know, rather than compliance, or product development, IT level? You know, what kind of expect?
It would be great if you could talk about all product-related challenges that you're kind of maybe stuck on or need some guidance on. I mean, obviously there are a lot of those, but for the first 10 minutes, don't worry about exactly what. We will pick out, like, kind of listen into the most important ones, and then we'll prioritize the ones that make a lot of sense for us to work through here in this hour. So you don't have to like specifically focus on one thing, and maybe I'll ask you some questions along the way to clarify, to make sure that yeah, we can also provide some insights.
While Andre is asking questions, Charlie usually then takes notes, and we're on these workspace just 10 minutes, then we move on. So don't worry too much. Just go along.
And if you need a particular guidance, it could be something which has come up on the accelerator as like a challenge that's been identified so far.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. So yeah, or maybe you can just give a quick overview of what you're working on, what the product is, and then we'll just go from there. So I just started the 10 minutes just so we don't take too long. I guess whoever wants to start, maybe just like give us an overview of what Amon is and where your current kind of biggest challenges are.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go for it. So on a product level, so we are a cryptocurrency wallet that we're putting together both euro and pound and also crypto. So we believe that cryptocurrency cannot stay on their own. So most of the people, they use crypto still as investment. So in our wallet, we integrated also what the in the crypto space is called fiat currency. We have integrated an investment product, so users can actually deposit crypto and earn passive interest. This has been a great product for us. It's been 1 year. We have around about 1,400 people that use this product. And they keep on using it. We hold quite a lot of user funds on this product. We also recently got approved from our issuer to release a card in Europe. So users will be able to spend euro and pounds in Europe with our card. So they will be able to invest in crypto if they want to do that. But if they are not interested, they can just spend euro and pounds with our card, but still have all the functionalities of crypto around that. We have an in-app exchange as well. So you can exchange between crypto and fiat and crypto to crypto with a one-click exchange. So you just click, basically just put what you want to exchange, and you can exchange it with one click. It's not a trading platform, it's just a wallet. And what is our main challenges at the moment? So with Michael, we were working on different aspects. So first of all, we have a blog which we have been writing on for over 1.5 years now. So we're starting to get traction on the blog. we have seen, from my former experience in other companies, in my former company, I know that the blog can be a great source of traffic, but also conversion, so new users. We receive probably around about 200 users a month just from organic at the moment. So what we want to do is just to improve the conversion rate of the blog. So at the moment, it's more like we have done just we just worked on the blog in the sense that we were writing new articles. If you, for example, write probably if you're in the UK, because we mainly target UK, and if you write best cryptocurrency wallet 2020, you probably will see our blog post in one of the first. So we target specific keywords, but when users arrive on our blog, what we want to do then is to convert them. So we were working a little bit on the design and on the conversion rate. Then it's all about making A/B tests at the end. There's no one will tell you what form or what button will convert better at the end. It's just doing A/B testing. So we're working on design on this. Another kind of issue we have is that when a user enters in our app, first thing they have to do is the KYC. KYC is a mandatory requirement from our providers and all the the compliance that we have in the company. It's a mandatory requirement. So I know it's quite a hassle for users, but it's something that we have to do. So we are trying to understand how to smooth the KYC process. We have a great provider, frankly. It's all automatized, but we're trying to understand how to easy this process for the users. Which there are some users that take 3 minutes to do it, but there are some users that take maybe 10 minutes because they don't have the documents with them. That's something we are taking to work on, and we're working on, but we need some support on the IT side. Here it's not just about UX and flow, but it's also about probably to change a little bit the structure. So it takes a little bit longer here because then we have to go through compliance, and then that's a good way to do KYC for our providers as well. I would say these are two of main focuses. We're working a little bit more on the conversion side in terms of setting up all the analytics, or at least review them. We already had it, but we are reviewing all of them. Since we might wanna we probably try to launch the card the next few months. That depends a little bit on the compliance things, but that's our main goal for now. We are kind of warming up the engine, to make sure that when we start the customer acquisition, we have everything in place, all the tracking in place. UX is good. Our website, we reviewed it different times, and we have now new pages, specific pages for each product that we have. So the website is quite fine now. It's more like polishing part of the website to get improved conversion. And I don't know if Michael, you want to add something? Maybe I forgot. I don't know.
Sorry, I needed to find the unmute button. So genuinely, yeah, Danielle summed it up pretty good. I think one of the main question is like how to communicate all the different services to our customer base. Because we offer so much, right? We offer a spending product, which is quite the opposite of the investing product. And then there's like the factor that there are many different brands which offer more or less similar products, but with differences which are too small to explain. Like they are important, but nobody wants to read anything. Nobody wants to understand anything. Everyone wants to like have like a headline and understand the difference automatically. If we just say, okay, for example, we get like the question, what is the difference between Amon and Revolut, right? And Revolut also offers crypto, so what's the point? And then it takes like time to explain, yeah, actually Revolut, you cannot transfer your crypto to another wallet, and just stuff like that. And like the fees are very high, and so just communicate our services in a way which is super clear and which differentiate us from other brands very clearly. I think this is a main challenge which we face.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I was actually about to ask, like, what are the main differentiators, yeah, across the competitive landscape? So, like, to Revolut, or what is it, 10x? It's also quite similar, right? So, so what you're offering is more like the actual. It's almost like a full encompassing service with like exchanging and also being able to trade, or like exchanging fiat to crypto, use your debit card, or what are like the main key differentiators, or at least from your perspective?
So from my personal perspective, like one key differentiator is you can get interest on your crypto investments. We have like the partnership with Celsius, and this is a unique partnership, and there's just one main competitor which offers something similar but not too similar, and that's crypto.com. That could be a very big deal, because if we look at Bitcoin and how Bitcoin could behave in the next couple of years or decades, it could be like the new retirement plan for millennials. Just by staying on the carpet, and I think another differentiation point on which we are currently working on is like the ethical differentiation point. We want to support charities. We want to make a difference. We want to make the world better. And we think we can connect with millennials, which think likewise very deeply on this point, and give them like a really nice and handy experience. Like, just imagine, like, millennials are not boomers. They don't have that much money, and it's a little bit like difficult to support for people who don't have that much money. It's difficult for them to support charities and stuff, and we want to reward them with charity tokens, so they can actually do that with our tools.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's great. So your target segment is basically millennials who are interested in utilizing their money or joining the crypto space.
Yes, our core target is definitely millennials. White collar workers, like people in suits, like mostly like lawyers, economists, students, businessmen, accountants. Those are like the most common professions.
Right. I already forgot that I'm also millennial. Am I? No.
Millennial is everyone right now. Everyone between roughly 20 and 37.
Oh wow!
I was wondering the same, and then I end up that I'm still a
millennial. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I think I thought they were much younger, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's great. That's a lot of stuff. I can definitely share a couple of things with you that we worked on in a very similar space. We worked on a couple of projects that are very similar, and I think this is actually quite interesting. Let's so whoever had the chance to keep writing, would be cool if you could copy your, and I'm just going to share my screen so you can see what's going on. I'm just going to copy your post-its that you wrote in here that you think are, worth sharing. That one is not worth sharing because that's not even a sentence. But if we would copy that over, and you kind of zoom out and copy that into this space where Charlie was first, and if that works, there we go. And just copy them somewhere inside here. It doesn't matter where. So that we have like a lot of different questions, a lot of those. That makes sense. It's going to stop sharing. And what we'll do now is without conversation. So because normally if you kind of try to solve problems, I already know like what questions I could ask, or I have some suggestions that could help you with certain things. But if I just start talking, then we'll probably end up in nowhere. And what I would like to do is kind of focus on what's really important to you, or what we perceive as being important. And if you are finished copying them over, or it's also fine if you haven't kind of written out as many. This is not a contest. But what we'll do is we'll just vote on the ones that that you perceive as being important. So start kind of reading through the ones that you can see here, and just see if there's anything interesting to you. On the top right, you have these little red circles, and I use them for voting. So if you just, let me just share my screen again. If you just go in and kind of highlight one, and you can press Command C or Control C to copy that to the clipboard, and then wherever you press Command V or Control V, that's where it gets duplicated on your exact mouse cursor position. So while you're still copying them over, I think, Danielle, do you need a hand? Can I just copy those over? I think that would be faster, no?
Yeah, please.
Okay, cool. I'll just copy them then. And here they are. Thanks for writing as well. Ah, brilliant. Thank you, Michael. So yeah, so take those. For you guys from Amon, take 4 of those each, and then everybody else just take 2, so that we can focus on what is important to you. And just copy one of those and paste that onto, just right onto a post-it that sounds like that's something important to share. And I'll set a timer on, let's do 5 minutes quickly, so we have enough time. If you see some that are very similar, feel free to overlap them or cluster them a little bit together, but don't worry too much. Just look through what's there and what you can vote on. And yeah, 4 for you, Amon guys, Danielle and Michael, and then everybody else just take 2. Yeah, I'll start a timer, and maybe let's yeah, I'll try to share some music so it's less so it's more engaging. Yay! Doesn't feel as awkward, although it's a bit of a shame that I can't really share the screen. Charlie, you can. It doesn't work, right?
Unfortunately not. I'm trying to find a way of doing it.
Damn it. Or should we?
You share the screen, and I'll play it through my mic.
Okay, awesome. I like it.
Let's see if that works.
Let's do that. Next time I'll. I love it. That's beautiful, Ram. It's a little bit like you're in an elevator. Something's gonna happen soon.
You can also go ahead and try to rap a bit on it.
Yeah, exactly. If you have rapping skills, now's your turn.
Andrew, just make sure I'm the right thing. I'm just putting the red dots where I think it's more important. Is it correct?
Correct. Yes. Oh, I can also, I think, hold on. Okay, we have, I should try something. Oh, I think I can do it, Ram. Ram, I figured it out. Can you press pause just for a second? Okay, and how's it now? Can you hear it? Yes, awesome. Thanks, Charlie. You Google the solution, it works. There's, if you share the screen on the bottom, you can select also share computer sound for everybody who wants to learn from being a workshop DJ.
I do apologize for my music. I'm not a millennial.
No, that was good. That was brilliant. One minute left. If you still have some votes left, make sure to place them somewhere. That's part of the music, I think.
Can't be that time already. Come on, you know you're gonna have a busy day today. I know. Get up.
What is that?
I think it's gonna be a real good morning. I feel it. Yeah, a long bus.
This is not for children. I repeat.
If you're under 18, this workshop is not for you. Awesome. Yeah, cool. Thank you. There it is. So let's just quickly move over the ones with the dots. I'm just going to move them into the next section. I'll kind of do that to just get a visually more clear idea of what's been voted on and just kind of go through the content. And as you can see, that already lets us prioritize pretty well what we think, or like what the entire group thinks it's worth sharing. So, or like working on. So it's based on all of our mental capacities. Oh, Mira has crashed. Cool. That's great. Ooh, okay. Is Mira working for you guys?
I've got the same. It's syncing.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
It's working.
Well, that's awesome that they haven't announced that. I think, let's just recollect that from memory, what was going on. Wait, maybe I can actually open that up.
Hold on, I might still see Mirror.
Okay, if you can see, could you take a screenshot and
Yes, I'll do that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I've got a screenshot of some of the most important ones. I didn't move them all over.
I got a screenshot.
Yeah, that's fine.
How do I send it to you? Should I send it over WhatsApp or?
Oh yeah, send it over WhatsApp if that's easy. If you have WhatsApp desktop.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, apologies, guys. I have no idea why that just happened. It was unannounced, but it looks like we're working without Mirror today.
But,
normally, would
my Mirror works, so
yeah.
Maybe reload it.
Still on it. Ah, cool. Thank you. I mean, it's.
Here's the screenshot of everything.
Got it.
Well, before everything before you moved some things.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as we know the content, that's cool. Ah, great. Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay.
My mirror works.
Yeah. Okay. Is it only mine? Who else's is also working? Okay. Sounds
Mine
like
will be back soon too.
okay. So it seems like, yeah, that's a shame. Yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, let me just share the screen here then, and actually, I can probably just open it up in the browser tab. Here.
You know, it's 2020 when Coinbase and Miro are down.
Yeah, that's true. Is Coinbase also down?
It was yesterday.
Crazy. Okay, we should buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin and work remotely. That's the message. Okay, I mean, so yeah, we had a couple of those. Normally, we would kind of move them over and start working on kind of prioritizing them and maybe see if we can come up with some solutions. I'm just going to share the screen so as far as we can read through it. So yeah, thanks, Ram, for sharing. The top voted one is actually here, how much we find out if the key differentiators are actually important to users. It's quite interesting because also what I've picked up from what you've told me is that there are a lot of like things that differentiate you from the competition, but you know, you're also struggling with communicating all of these value points to people. And in an ideal scenario, people should recognize you for this one thing that you do that fits exactly into their life. And so one of the kind of challenges, I think, is figuring out how to prioritize the key differentiators and how to repackage that into something that's very precisely what people need. Another one is how to do best user research to focus on our strengths. It's actually quite similar. So it's I can also show you a couple of examples on how we do user research and how we kind of figure out these value points and how to communicate them. And then there's a bunch of other ones with one votes, how to improve our conversion rates, how to make KYC UX easier and faster, how to improve KYC churn rate, explain our range of products in detail on our website. Yes. Let users feel that KYC is useful. There's a lot of those on KYC actually. But I'll show you an example that we had that was also part of kind of that challenge. Convey a strong brand, increase traction and new users, run better A/B tests, how we pitch different features to different users. That's also kind of, yeah, and then how about we emphasize interest generation, communicate what we want to make the world better. So these are kind of the actual key differentiators. So because we only have like 15 minutes, I think the best approach to this was I just kind of show you how we would do that, or like there's actually one product that we worked on in the past that's relatively similar. It's not exactly the same because I don't think they have a credit card, and they actually create an interesting way to circumvent the KYC process by working with banking systems. This product is already released. These are screens that I think, oh, that's the most recent one. But these were kind of the work in progress screens. So they released it and made it a little bit more beautiful as well. It's Ramp Instant. I don't know if you've heard of them. And the way so one of the core challenges that they had was that they didn't know whether users would actually go through all this frictionful process. So the product itself is basically a connection between crypto and fiat. So you could kind of really quickly pay with fiat or pay with one currency, and that would get converted into the cryptocurrency on a particular platform. So if you would want to buy something on Dharma, you could buy with your pounds. And the process is actually quite interesting because they use an agreement for banks to do the KYC. So the only thing that you would have to do here is connect your bank, and so that Ramp could actually just draw the information for the KYC that this is your account, you're there, in order to prove your identity. So you wouldn't have to use an ID, and it would work pretty much immediately. The only thing that takes time is then the transaction But one of the challenges was actually that there's a pretty long onboarding flow. So you would have to identify exactly like what are the things that we need to tell them in order to create enough trust, and explain to them how everything works. And it's just a lot of like clicking through. But what we kind of learned from here is that if you focus on exactly the things that people will have to go through, preempt them with all the information that they'll need to go through, and also at the same time show the value of that they will be able to access their money really fast. So I think here we said, your bank verifies your identity. This is like the very first thing that people get confronted with, and that was their kind of main selling point. Also on the note of trying to figure out what's important to users. But I'll explain to you how we tested this actually, or did user research on this in a second. So that was the main thing to explain, and putting on a trustworthy, especially if it's something with financial transactions, especially if it's something with fiat, especially if it's targeted towards people who do not interact with money a lot. They always need to have some signs of trust provided. So we had to put a special emphasis on that, and then kind of explained what they will have to go through step by step before they would actually go through this process. So these are 3 screens that kind of ease the onboarding friction, or like ease the friction in the actual process. So we would state exactly what's necessary, then how users would do it, and then what will happen in the process. And then the whole process starts. Creating an account, connecting your bank, then there would be like choosing your bank. There would be like a separate window that would pop up where you have to log into your bank. And once all that information is stated on before, people would actually have no problem going through it, because they already understand that there will be a little bit of friction, but it will also come with a lot of value. Maybe there's older screens from here. So we went through a couple of iterations. And the way we did this was actually quite simple. And I would kind of suggest for you to try out something similar, is just kind of mapping out the process step by step, exactly as you think it would work, and just try to focus on. So yeah, actually there's 2 things that are worth mentioning. You probably want to listen to users a lot and like do a lot of interviews in which of the things that you're trying to kind of convey actually resonate with them. So I think the approach that we took to this is that we built this screen flow, all the individual parts of the prototype, and then it looked like it's already done. But then we showed it to like a handful of people, and they read through the text, and some of them were like, I don't care about this, or I don't understand what this means. And even just going through listening to how people perceive what you're showing them, as long as it's not like the fully implemented product, they will tell you exactly what you need to know, and they will tell you what really is important to them. So I think in your case, if you're especially having like a massive set of features, you could try that in a very easy way by putting together a website, trying to lay out all the things that you think are important to you and you think are important for people or for the world, and then let people read through it and tell them honestly what resonates from this and what doesn't. That's also exactly the same process that we went through internally with our own website, where we put together like a website and we were like, this is going to be great. And then we showed it to people and they were like, we don't get it. So we had to kind of start again. But we already knew what didn't resonate and what was like more interesting. And so based on just putting together a prototype in a couple of days and running, I don't know, 4 or 5 interviews with people, we knew exactly what resonates well, so we could go deeper into these things and make them bigger next time. So with the second iteration, the information that people actually thought, this is great, I can automate escrow, whatever, I'm just using that as an example. This is great. We would then take that, and especially if like 3 out of 5 said that, we would make it bigger, make it more present. And by doing that a couple of times, you'll iterate and make the things stand out that people resonate with the most. And obviously, if you have like 4 or 5 interviews, you'll have a pretty solid response rate, and you can figure out which of the feedback actually overlaps. So some people will say like, hey, don't like that green, and maybe it's like 1 or 2 people. That's not really something you should put attention to. But if 3 or 4 out of 5 people say, you know, I would really love to see this particular feature, I would really love to see how you fund charities, for instance, and see how that works, then you know that that's something to focus on. And these feedback loops are actually super quick. So it's enough to spend 3 days or at most on designing something that you have as a hypothesis, and then doing user interviews. So I've talked very long now. I hope that I'm not kind of over-rolling, but I hope that that also kind of answered a couple of these things. At this point,
yeah, no, it was very interesting actually.
Cool. Do you have any questions for now? Like anything that, or like anything that you'd like to know more?
So I find it also very interesting how you lay out a hypothesis on Figma. My question is, how do you organize the interviews? Like we have, of course, like email lists, and we have a big Telegram community, but maybe you have some other ways.
I don't know if I have really other ways. Hold on, let me see. I actually have that in Notion. I'll send you a link for how we do user tests and user interviews, basically from zero. It's relatively simple. So a lot of people ask, how do you find the people that you want to test with? And one of the things that we do is, or like we think is important, is before you really look for people, you want to define what's your target segment and have like one specific target segment. So try to narrow that down as much as possible. So if you say millennials, maybe like what are their characteristics? You already say kind of like the white collar millennials. So that's actually very, very precise. And then what we do is we normally go online or look for people in our personal network who kind of fit that persona. So by go online, I mean, we would, sorry, I just admitted, I think Jens is not from this, right? I'll put him in a waiting room for now. So we would go on Reddit, for instance, and post in some subreddits where people who have that knowledge would, you know, communicate with other people, with like-minded people. There's also a lot of Telegram groups that have some specific area, and then you can narrow it down. So I think here I'm explaining. So basically, you have to decide on your target audience, and then I normally write out something like this. Actually, this is not even. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty precise. I would sometimes add on something like, on Reddit, I usually ask a question that only people can know who are in that target audience. So in order to kind of filter out people who don't know. So if it's like, I currently work on a digital insurance product and would love to have some feedback, I would add on something like, if you please get back to me, and would be great if you could answer to this question truthfully. And it would be something like, which kinds of assets do you have insured? So if someone who's like, who doesn't have any knowledge about digital insurance, then they will, you know, probably give you something that sounds vague. And by the answer, you can also kind of narrow down again the users that you want to test with. And generally, yeah, I would just go through whatever are kind of social areas of where people communicate a lot, and there's a big knowledge exchange happening. Does that answer your question more or less?
Yes, very good answer. I really like the methods you use. Thank you.
Cool, I appreciate it. I'll send you this link. Actually, I can probably send it here in the chat, right? Let me see if then you can already. Oops, wrong thing. So here's this link. You can go through it. I basically like wrote out how to do interviews, how to prepare everything, all the tools that we use. Cool. Yeah, so we have another approximately 10 minutes. Yeah, any other questions?
For me, it's just about, I don't know, out of the experience of these guys, is there like a time frame they thought users it's kind of acceptable, you know, to run through all the, because basically the idea could be that you run basically kind of onboarding where you explain a little bit what you do. I really like the idea to put like Trustpilot as yeah, as a kind of trust. And we have a couple of partners which we could put like BitGo for crypto custodian, and well, we have also our bank as investors. So I think we can have an idea of which logos, you know, kind of a trust we can try to infuse to our users. For me, I look a lot on the timing, you know, because I think people don't want to spend time in this. So a lot of times I go on our provider platform, and it's a nice platform. It tells you on average how long the users take to do this test. I mean, sorry, not the test, the KYC. And I think timing is an important part, because users, yeah, when you're on mobile, maybe you just see our ads, you know, and then you register quickly. You don't want to spend 20 minutes reading stuff or uploading stuff. That's the main obstacle, you know. Is there any kind of time frames they thought of, you know, or kind of onboarding, and then, you know, saying, yeah, the users more or less should stay like 1 minute and be done?
It's hard to say, because I mean it's very situation specific. There's no like psychological rule. There's like more or less of an attention rule in the beginning, like you want to grab people's attention in the first 10 to 30 seconds. If that doesn't really happen, then they drop off. But this is also more like a kind of you have to experiment with that. So depending on how complex it is to convey the message of the product, it'll take a little bit to figure out what exactly the message should be carved into. And for here, for instance, in RAMP, it's important to show them that there is an aspect of time if you worry about it, or if you, I mean, not worry, but if you think that could be a concern for them, then it's important to preempt that early enough so they know that they'll have to approximately how long they'll have to wait, but late enough so that you don't create an over expectation, like an under expectation of the actual value. With RAMP, there was a similar situation that it took a lot of time, but at this point where we mentioned it, first of all, they already went through some steps. So this is also kind of a thing. If you already get them to commit to a little bit of something, so maybe just entering their email, creating an account, or just getting getting started with the onboarding, then they've already committed a little bit, and then everything else they will be easier to commit to. So it's like it will be harder for them to justify that they go out and let it like do something similar if they've already spent a little bit of time on it. But then showing that they will have to spend some time on the product at the point before they have to wait, but after the point when they understand what the value is. So in RAMP's case, they knew that what they will get is 200 DAI. Everything that they need to do in order to get it is already done. Everything beforehand was like explained. It was almost like the time was up to them. But then at the point where you know, you need to make that transaction, the bank needs to send stuff around. Then we showed them, okay, it takes 10 minutes, but then this will be finished and you'll be notified. And then we kind of show them the process, which is also kind of a nice thing that a lot of people like to just see what's going on if they have to wait. So some people don't really care and they just click it away and then they wait for the notification in their email. some people will be just like opening up this receipt. I mean, this is an interactive receipt, and they would be like basically watching what happens, so they can see the next step. So what's going on? When is it switching? So there's and that's something that you can experiment with. So I think we have to wrap up slowly, right? Sorry, did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good thing.
Okay.
Guys, I will connect you with Charlie and Daniel. They are strategic partners. Use whatever questions you need from them, so long as we're on the accelerator program. And I hope you get some value, and you got some value from this last hour that we had. Would that be okay, Michael, Daniel?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sounds
brilliant.
Yeah, I suggest you set up another follow and see where it gets.
Yeah, that's good. Happy to help. Just
Sure.
And let's chat over email then.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
very good.
So yeah, thank you very much for this session. We're gonna continue with the next session of deep work with Valega guys. But Amon, Daniel, and Michael, thank you for your time. And we will take a 5-minute commercial break and be back with the next team.